Jason Curry, Bio 225, Week 5. This is carbohydrate fermentation testing, the setup and introduction. So I had my area sterilized, ready to go, PPEs on, and I got all my contents. I got my phenol red broth. I had 6 of those. I have my nutrient broth ready to go. I have my powders ready to go, and we begin. So first thing I did was brought these to room temperature for about 30 minutes. The phenol red broth to room temperature. And then I labeled each tube accordingly. So number 1 was labeled glucose with epididymis, and then cerevisiae with glucose. That was also number 1. Number 2 was glucose with fructose, and fructose with the cerevisiae, and fructose with the epididymis. And then number 3 was mannitol with the cerevisiae and the epididymis. So that was labeled, ready to go. The next step I did was got my Durham tubes in the alcohol with my pipettes, and I sterilized those in alcohol. After sterilized them, I made sure they were dry and ready to go for the following steps. So what I did was I took my first tube, the glucose with epididymis, and I opened it up, flame lipped it, and added half the glucose to the epididymis and half to the cerevisiae. And then I put the lids on, flame lipped it, put the lids on, and shook it up until the powder was dissolved. From that point, I did the same thing for the fructose, for the epididymis and the cerevisiae. Flame lipped it, added the powder, added the fructose, flame lifted, put the lid on, closed it up, shook it until the powder resolved. And same for the mannitol. I flame lipped it, added half the powder and the epididymis and the cerevisiae, and flame lifted, closed the lid, shook it up, ready to go. So from that point, all the powder was dissolved. My Derman tubes were ready to go, and I entered the Derman tubes inside each phenol red broth, and I slightly inverted it to make sure that there was no gas bubbles. The only exception was number 3 here, because Hands On Lab delivered it this way. So from that point, everything was inverted. There was all the air was out of the mannitol or the Derman tubes, and I got my nutrient broth, and I added, opened it up, flame lipped it. I opened it, and then I added 4 drops of the epididymis to 1, 2, and 3 of the epididymis cultures. Flame lipped it, closed it up, and then I did the same for the cerevisiae. Took 4 drops, added it to my phenol red cerevisiae, 4 drops each. Flame lipped them, closed it up, and then I got it ready for my incubation, the area where I placed it. It was going to rest. It's going to rest for 12 hours, possibly additional 6 hours. And we'll see what kind of results we get. Thank you.